What if thought leaders from around the university came together to discuss state-of-the-art remedies to 21st century challenges? Florida Atlantic University's faculty are pioneering education through cutting-edge solutions such as artificial intelligence, authentic assessment, and active learning. Join us as our faculty forge new paths to the future of higher education. From the Center for Online and Continuing Education, this is Faculty Lounge Live.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Faculty Lounge Live. My name is Jose Gayoso and I'm one of the multimedia producers here at the Center for Online and Continuing Education. Today I have the honorable privilege to show you our guest. His name is Jamie Allison. He is an adjunct professor, angel investor, and co-founder of Ouchie Sports. Thank you, Jamie.
Wonderful to be here, Jose. Looking forward to our conversation.
Thank you again. Now, for our first question, I want to know a little bit more about you. What got you into teaching? How did you get to FAU? And how did you get to Florida, of all places?
Yes. Well, the get to Florida, of all places, is very easy. I grew up in Michigan, so I needed to escape the cold.
Oh, that's a good one.
Given the context of our conversation around AI, I thought it'd be fitting to have Dolly introduce me. So as people are looking, you could see basically a pervasive collection of cars. I worked at Ford Motor Company for many years. You also see a lot of endurance sports, cycling, swimming, biking. I was very active in Ironman. And you also see in the depiction my passion for giving back and helping inspire the next generation. Obviously, I co-founded Ouchie Sport.
That's right.
And now as an adjunct, giving back and serve on a lot of communities to help early startups.
Now, I want to go more into the aspect of AI and how it involves in education. So how do you use AI in education, starting from like college level students who never heard of AI, who are first introduced to AI? And then how do they react when you finish a course and then they have to go through the whole process of using AI?
Yeah, I want to connect education to business, because ultimately, what are we here to do, right? To help inspire and prepare our students to get out in the world.
Yeah.
And for that, I want to talk about the framework of knowledge versus skills. And I want to start with me. I want to go back in time when I was in school. And when I was in school, and I'm sure learning has been the same throughout the ages, it was all about kind of imparting knowledge. So I was, as a student, in the process of knowledge accumulation. And obviously we were tested on memory recall, comprehension, some analysis, on some applications. And all that is fine and good. And I was a very good student and I accumulated a lot of knowledge. But the trouble was when I stepped into the working world, I felt I was not equipped with the skills I needed to navigate the world that I was in. Especially early on, I was in program management, and from there on, I progressed up. And the further up I progressed, the further I saw the deficit in the skills that I needed in order to succeed.
Right.
So I think we're at that kind of tipping point, in my view, around the role of education and the role of business in the age of AI. And the age of AI, if you think about it, these AI models have been trained on all human knowledge, right? All the texts that have ever been written, all the books that have ever been written, all the images, all the videos, all the multimedia files, everything that's ever been in humanity has been captured, right? And it's been trained. These models have been trained on it. And increasingly, you see these models now developing not just generating ability, not generative AI, but now you see reasoning models. They take all this content and now they reason. And then the next frontier is going to be the reason of the agents doing. So all these AIs are doing so much with all this knowledge. The question is left, what is left for us, to impart upon our students to prepare them for the world with AI? And that's why I focus a lot on basically skill building. And the skills I'm talking about in business, kind of these 4 C's of business skills. The first is around collaboration. Right? In the working world, you're very rarely just kind of in a solo scientist mode, just kind of head down working on solution.
Yeah.
You're in projects, you're on teams. So whenever you put people together, things happen. There's conflicts, there's adaptation. So teamwork skills is really essential. The next C is around critical thinking. problem solving. When I was in school, I was able to solve math problems and equations. But in the real world, you're really solving problems to real world issues. So how do you go about solving problems? And the next C is around communication. One of the most foundational skills that every human needs, especially every student needs, to get into the real world, to convey your ideas, your concept, your anything that you want to convey, be able to convey it in a very effective manner. And the last C is around creativity. Tap into the creativity that we humans have in order to solve problems and convey ideas. So to me, that framework around skills, development, skill building, is really essential in a time where so much of the knowledge is available at the fingertips of every student in class and into the business world.
I'm curious, about the students. So you have, I'm guessing, students who are coming to your class who know about AI.
Yeah.
Some students who come who don't know about AI. And how do you, well, first, I want to ask, for your courses in particular that you teach at FAU, do you support AI in your classroom? Do you want the students to use AI in your classroom? Or are you more, I want to use some, but with some restrictions?
Yeah. I want to take you through the journey of how I arrived where I arrived. And where I have arrived is an unguarded, unrestricted, unlimited use of AI. But it may not apply to everybody, but it certainly applies in my circumstances. And let me take you through that scenario. I taught the course, and the course that I taught is around innovation, developing and marketing innovations in the College of Business. And I taught it in the undergrad, and I noticed that some of the students in the undergrad were using some AI tools. This is about 18 months ago. We're using some of the AI tools to kind of bring their ideas to life. The course that I taught is made up of 4 phases. The first phase, come up with an idea. The second phase is research the idea. The third phase is prototype the idea. And the last phase is go to market. So I noticed some of the students were using AI primarily around prototyping and just kind of depicting the idea. And those students were able to be more effective because they were using AI tools to actually convey. And then I came across another article from a Harvard business professor who was teaching a similar course. And while the course was being taught to the students, he was also using AI tools to compare the output of the AI tools and the AI platforms to the output of the students. And he concluded that the AI tools were able to generate with more robust ideas, more deeply thought ideas, more ideas are likely to succeed.
Yes.
So I thought to myself, instead of just kind of having the students versus AI, why don't I give the students the power of AI into the class? So I now am teaching the course at the executive education to the professional MBA courses. So these are kids obviously in the MBA program.
Yep.
And so what I have done with that course, I said, I would like you to, it's a requirement that you must use AI tools, right, in order to go through the 4 phases of innovation. And I primed them with an initial set of AI tools. But I said that in every presentation, you have to use more than one tool, and you have to share the tool with the rest of the group, and you have to share your prompts. I wanted to have this collective learning and this kind of feeding from each other so they can learn about AI collectively.
That's smart.
I tell you, these kids all took the course, didn't have any AI tools background. By the end of the 8 weeks, they were more proficient in AI than I was because they were using all these tools and they were learning and exploring, which shows you the power there.
I'm wondering, because I think you found almost a workflow that works for you when it comes to separating the skills from just basic knowledge that they need. Because you said, anything basic, the AI can take care of it. Your emails, your messages, all that basic stuff, let the AI take care of it. But then how do you, as a professor, find a workflow between separating, okay, this is how you're going to learn the basics, and then this is the skills that you need to learn for the outside world?
So I tell you a lesson that I have learned in kind of putting this course with an unguarded use of AI, right? The first lesson I learned is that, like I said, all these students took the course because the name of the course is AI Impact on Innovation.
Yep.
And I asked them, there was 21 students in the course, and every single one didn't, most of them, I'd say 90% did not have any AI background, and they were thirsty to learn about AI. So one, the first lesson is that, students are eager to go learn about new technologies and how that can affect, their preparation and their skill building into the future. The second lesson I learned is that there was one team in the class that I noticed early on in the first couple weeks were a little bit kind of lagging behind. But all of a sudden I noticed in the third and the fourth week, they had propelled themselves to a level that really surprised me. Their level of proficiency, their level of materials and their coherence and the thinking behind it. So I was curious. I said, what is it that took this team of 2 people so far? So I asked, and they said, Mr. Allison, basically, before they were taking each assignment and feeding that into a specific tool around idea generation or researching about customers. They had the brilliance of taking the syllabus of my course and feeding the syllabus into the AI. And the AI now had broader context of the course and was able to be a lot more thoughtful, a lot more contextual, and was able to anticipate the next phases and was, the material stood out. So now, the question obviously didn't escape, the thought didn't escape me, in the fact that if they fed the course into the AI and they became so, so impressive, what is it that they actually did since AI did all the work?
That's a good question.
It's still, I'm still reflecting on it, but here I have to give them credit. I didn't put the guardrails around, hey, you can't feed the syllabus, so I have to find a way to build on it. And the last part around that is, this is something I learned, right? The rubric and the assessments. I was focused on, their skill growth and skill development around those 4 C's I talked about. But with the advent of these AI tools, some of them were using these AI tools to actually have the presentations, all conducted through basically text to video or text to photos and music and podcasts. These tools were so convincing that it left me wondering what skills I need to assess them on. Yeah. So I'm still reflecting on what the course, how to evolve the course when I give them such a powerful, potent tool that can effectively do what they used to do as humans. And now the tools is taking it to the next level. So there's got to be a way for me to arm them with more, skills, more abilities, more tools, so that can actually be transferable into the future.
Yeah. Okay. Now, talking about tools in particular, and you said you let your students go, there's no restrictions.
Yep.
You let them search whatever tools that they want to use for the course, you let them.
Yep.
Have you found any tools that they use, that they found, or that you found that's caught your attention recently?
Yeah. So like I said, I primed them with a framework of tools around, because obviously this is a marketing and a business course. So around, creating content. So a lot of generative AI tools at the time. Like I said, very effective tools around text to video, like Sora from OpenAI, or Luma Labs has Dreammaker. Text to photo, obviously DALL-E, you saw what DALL-E could do.
Yes.
And then I also use in WhatsApp, they have something called Imagine Me, where it takes a picture of you and you can tell it right here in WhatsApp, imagine me climbing in the mountain with 7 other people and being on the edge, and it will render that image, So it's a very effective way to kind of convey, emotions and feelings. Apple just announced or released Genmoji, which is a way to create, unique emojis based on any prompts. I'll tell you another story on music. I use a tool called Suno, S-U-N-O. I was celebrating our anniversary last year with my wife, and I have a tradition of always writing a poem around roses are red, because when we were dating, I used to do that all the time. So I decided, I'm going to take it up a notch. I'm not going to do a poem. I'm going to do a song. So I went to Suno and I said, create a song that says roses are red. My wife's name is Lena, and we're celebrating a 29-year anniversary. I tell you, it created the song that made me teary. How emotive, how compelling, how loving. I mean, it's just so powerful. These tools are so creative that can really draw emotions. So I think a lot have been said, a lot of tools around generative AI.
Yes.
Increasingly in my line of work as an angel investor, I'm using a lot more reasoning tools. ChatGPT 4.0, Perplexity, I use Perplexity a lot. I ask for what if scenarios around businesses that we're looking at or my own business.
How about Copilot? Do you use Copilot?
I have used Copilot, but I hope I'm not saying anything that's not necessarily, because I know it's available to every student here in a relationship with Microsoft. But Microsoft is a part owner of ChatGPT, so Copilot is really
The same.
a wrapper. That's what I think.
Talking about ChatGPT and Copilot, I know we recently talked about, I think it was 2 weeks ago, where another competitor came to the scene, DeepSeek, and how they introduced, I like to say, a disruption to the entire AI community, where they did a open source. Just showed everybody, it brought especially the government to just, if they could do it, why can't we do it the same way, What did you think about that?
I tell you, DeepSeek, I'll have to, I read this and this just really made me laugh, and I think it'll convey the point after I talk about them. But DeepSeek is often, within the world of AI, is referred to as shallow seek. Let me tell you why. First, you're spot on. It is an open source model, which actually is a really a tipping point about what's happening in the world of AI models. Because if you think about it, all these models, especially OpenAI, even though it's called OpenAI, it's actually a proprietary model.
Correct.
So by having an OpenAI, by having an open model, if you think about Linux back in the day, how that kind of engendered itself, kind of had a community of people who contributed to its evolution and built a lot of applications on it. So having an open source AI model is really going to democratize access to these models, right? Versus having to rely on a proprietary, large-scale, deep model. But the really most disruptive aspect of DeepSeek, and the reason it's called shallow seek, because DeepSeek is actually a distilled model, right? It's a distilled model. And there's a lot of evidence that shows they actually were bombarding and querying ChatGPT and other models to basically extract, distill the knowledge and all the data, all the insight that comes out of the larger, deeper models that were spent hundreds of millions of dollars developing into this basically extract, distilled model called DeepSeek. And now because it's a distilled model that's proven to be just as effective as a deep proprietary model. So now that's accessible, affordable, and it basically permeating the use of AIs much quicker and faster than it would have been through a proprietary path. Because if you think about it, all proprietary models could be distilled into smaller, just as effective, just as proficient, smaller models that developers can develop AI applications right on top of. So this is a monumental kind of a trigger point, and the story, the end of the story arc is yet to unfold, but certainly DeepSeek did trigger that, the fact that open source and a distilled now in the vernaculars of many people.
Yeah, DeepSeek to me was like one of the bigger disruptions. You heard it everywhere in the news when it happened. Everyone was talking about it for weeks. Usually it's died down by this point, but I want to go back to the disruption topic. We talked about it in the big aspect, the big window, but I want to focus and hone it more into education and business. What disruptions do you see in those types of fields?
So I live on the forefront of disruption because I'm a part of an angel investing group. And if you think about angel investing, is you're investing in early stage startups. And what do early stage startups do? They are trying to disrupt old industry, old established players and industries. So I'll give you a couple of examples of that kind of points to a future of how AI is really going to disrupt every facet of life.
Yeah, please.
So this company we were looking at recently happened to be developing, using AI to accelerate and kind of transform, in this one narrow specific example around FDA, Food Drug Administration, testing for fruits. Just a narrow example that has application beyond that. So they're testing for berries, for pesticides and other structures within the berries. So the conventional path for that is that you pick the berries, right? The farmer picks the berries. They're put in lots. They grab samples from lots of berries. They put them in a sample tester, right? They pull a berry and they go through destructive testing, right? To extract the material. And then they send it to a lab, right? And the lab takes a few days to analyze it, send the data back, right? Well, this company has come up with using a camera, a spectrometer camera that looks at the spectrum. The camera has been trained with an AI model on what are the telltale signs of pesticide or other structural issues with berries. So instantly, within like minutes, right? There's no sample. It just looks at the berries, right, through the lens of a camera, and determines if there's any, issues to be flagged.
Yes.
And you have the result right there. So, no sampling, no destruction.
Quicker.
No testing, no time. And so you think about that, that kind of value chain of people that were involved in the manual testing, right? To now all that was going to be removed from that equation, and all that's left is basically a hardware and an AI model to quickly scan and yield results. And multiply that now beyond berries into meat testing, beyond FDA into other forms. So you could see a world where AI is just going to disrupt every facet of every industry, and that's just one example.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, we talked about angel investing.
Yeah.
You have your other company, Ouchie Sports,
Yep.
and that deals with athletics. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So how did you use AI with a company such as Ouchie Sports?
Yep. Well, that's, I'll start with an anecdote that I saw with Sam Altman, who is the co-founder of OpenAI and ChatGPT. He said that he is in a part of a small group of people like him in the industry who are betting how long will it take where they will see the first $1 billion unicorn. That's what a unicorn is called, like a startup that's worth $1 billion, with just one employee, the founder. And everything else is through the manifestation of AI and agents. So the reason I bring that into here is because obviously I am starting a business at a time where I may not need all the faculties around the employees and all the organizations around starting, scaling a business, right? I'm in the very early stages, so I'm looking for traction of this MVP that I have. I have an app in the App Store, looking for early traction. But someday, beyond early traction, beyond MVP, if I get to scale, I am at a time, and like many startups are at a time where you have the use of AI tools that could supplant the need to actually, quote unquote, hire all the people that one needs to scale. Now, we may be years away and it may not apply to every field, but certainly you could see a pathway where there is these companies that are starting with not the need for a lot of employees, right? But yet be just as effective.
I'm thinking back to the first question that I asked, where you use your class in education to separate basic skills from critical thinking and actual skills that students will need to use in the workforce. What AI tools do you use to separate your basic skills, anything that AI could do, from the work that you do? Yeah,
I touched upon them a little bit earlier, is that initially I started, like most people, with curiosity around what ChatGPT is, kind of that was the first lightning bolt, and around generative AI, right? So obviously the AI tool progression is, obviously there's generative AI, which has kind of run its course and has continued to flourish.
Yeah.
And we'll talk a little bit more about some of the tools there. And then, but increasingly now it's shifting to reasoning models, reasoning AI, right? That's able to do beyond just create.
Yes.
And the next frontier that's capturing all the headlines is agentic AI, which is basically these agents that can automatically do what was, once the AI would create, and then you, the human, have to go do something. Well, you could see the progression of those three.
Yeah.
So, and I'm going through the progression of all three, and I mentioned some of the tools that I use on generative AI. I happen to be partial to ChatGPT just because it's got a wide spectrum of tools. But every once in a while, I will go narrow it vertically into a specific area. Like I talked about, Suno was for music generation, and DALL-E, which is a part of OpenAI for image generation, and Dreamlab for video generation, and so on and so forth. But in my line of work, I'm spending more time on reasoning AI for Ouchie, right? I'm trying to anticipate, are there evolving competitors that are going to come in and disrupt what I'm building with Ouchie? Do what-if scenarios around go-to-market, which one would be more effective, create go-to-market campaigns. I haven't really delved too deeply because I don't see, a lot of kind of applications or consumer applications of agentic AI. OpenAI announced Operator, which you could ask it to order you a pizza, and it would order you a pizza, or plan a trip, and it would plan a trip. But obviously, you tell it what you're interested in doing. So yeah, those are the three kind of branches or three kind of waves that are just going to continue to flourish, evolve, and start to kind of co-connect.
With going back to education and then your class in particular, how do you get feedback from your students when they're using all these AI tools? Do you have like a survey at the end? Do they just tell you, hey, I had a great time in this class. I want to take more like this. How do you get some feedback?
Yeah, obviously I'm an adjunct, so I'm not as used to all the rigors that full tenured professors here and all the teachers do. I think there's something at the end of every semester, the 360 feedback. So obviously we get some feedback there. But really, I'm in it, after with my corporate career and now my entrepreneurial career. I'm in it because I want to inspire the next generation, and the world is going to be shaped by people right here at FAU, and many universities and many places around the country. So really, my vested interest is in the cumulative knowledge and skill learning and building within the class. So that's why I reward the students on sharing. They're, in some places, people are not motivated or rewarded to share because they want to protect what they've, what tools they use, what prompts they use that came up with a solution. And I don't grade on a curve. So basically, if you meet the criteria and you helped someone, and you shared, and then, because when you share, someone else will take what they learned from you and build on it, and so on and so forth. So I believe in this collective learning within the students, and the feedback that I received is that they found that to be an instructive way for them to kind of quickly grow their proficiency and acumen around, in this case, learning AI tools to and using innovation and as a case to learn about tools. Okay.
Yeah. Now, I'm guessing for my last question on how I want to wrap this all up, let's look into the future. Let's maybe look into a couple months from now to a couple of years from now. How do you see AI in the future, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years from now? How do you see it from how fast it got to where we are now, from ChatGPT version 1 to now we're at ChatGPT 4.0? Where do you see it more into the future? Not just ChatGPT, but any AI in general, whether it's for education, for business, or for personal use.
Yeah. If I knew the answer to that, I would probably be on a forum someplace.
Typing it up.
But I can tell you that, throughout, human history, there's been waves of technologies that have been discovered, and then they've had impacts on the progression of humanity. I mean, I'm taking it way up a level here, but just for, even from the invention of fire, right? Initially, if you think about that technology, trying to stay warm, but what did the fire do? Also, it burned homes or in huts, and you can fast forward, the invention of the automobile is replacing horses, but then yes, you're able to get the comfort and get from point A to point B, faster, but you get into a car, and sometimes people misuse that technology, and there'll be crashes and people are affected. So I think there are waves of technology, and humanity always finds a way to adapt and leverage the best of what the technology has to offer, and try to mitigate the consequences and the risks that come out of these technologies. That does disrupt.
Right.
Disrupt businesses, disrupt jobs, disrupts work of life, disrupts education. So AI, it's in a very infant stage, and we are the shapers of its future. And so I feel like it's probably one of the biggest technology that humans would have unleashed. But the bigger the technology, the bigger the impact, and I think it will have really a great impact on many industries, of course, like with medical field and solving for diseases and so many things. But there are obviously these risks. So, but bringing it back to here, around education and businesses, I think education is ripe for a new paradigm around what is it that we're equipping our students with the ability to take with them. There's a saying that I hear repeated all the time. It says, you don't lose your job. You're not going to lose in the near term.
Yes.
You're not going to lose you're not going to lose your job to AI in the near term. You're going to lose your job to someone who knows how to use AI.
I hear that a lot.
So I think what we could do here at FAU and as in a learning institution is equip our students with the ability to use AI in order for them to succeed in the near term. And then them and us can reshape the future of long-term AI and what skills one needs in order to succeed in that frontier.
That's a great way to end it.
All right.
So far, Jamie, you've been a great guest so far.
Wonderful conversation. Really appreciate the ability to share with you. And like I said, I'm an adjunct. I have I fill my life with the other aspect, and I'm here just to give back and inspire the next generation and going to change the world. So happy to be a part of FAU and happy to be a part of sharing what I'm doing and hopefully inspires whether it's faculty or students into the next frontier.
Of course, it's been great to have you.
Thank you, Jose.
And with that, with no questions here, I will go ahead and thank you everyone for taking part. We have another Faculty Lounge Live in 2 weeks, so make sure you're also here for that event. And thank you for participating. You all have a great week. Thank you.